2 goals from İlkay Gündoğan separates the two sides. Two very similar finishes, Shay. The first and second, both seeing Leeds drop very deep, but City still getting past them.
Yeah, carbon copy. I mean, both goals, I think, very, very similar. We actually spoke before the game about how Leeds would defend, and of course Pep Guardiola is a master, isn't he? And he would have said they would get deeper and deeper. So where's the space on the pitch? The edge of the box. Both goals are near enough identical. Gundogan's got the freedom of the Etihad, and it's a brilliant finish in the end. But if you're looking at Leeds, we even look at Bamford high up the pitch here. There's 9 players and the goalkeeper, 10 behind the ball. And I would even say to Bamford, if I was Sam Allardyce, get back into maybe where the referee is. You might be able to affect Gundogan on the edge of the box, because they just get attracted to the goal. The Leeds players, they just get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can see the edge of the box is free as a board, and it's a simple finish.
Robbie, he's playing as a defensive midfielder. He finishes like I'm
not sure whether that is position today, because I think that any of them have got licence to sort of roam and go where they want to. You see this one where Shay's talking about is, we spoke before about a game about they will sit deep, but what they are not doing is they're not compact. So when you are maybe a team who need to sort of stop your teams from scoring goals, you need to shut up shop and make it really tight.
Tim?
I find it amazing how you can leave someone in that much space. Sees Gundogan. Normally the referee picks up a perfect position. If you're a midfield player, you stick yourself by the referee, both sides there, so you can see everything. Rubles is unsighted, so he just drags it into the bottom corner. But they need to put pressure on. I think if you're coaching that during the week, and I'm sure Sam has, it's attack versus defence. We're talking about 15% possession. Then you've got to try and put pressure on when you come within 25, 30 yards of your goal. But they're absolutely under no pressure. What they're doing is get bodies behind the ball. We've seen 10 in their own box for both of the goals. But there's still so much space for Gundogan just to roll the ball into the back of the net. You have to go in a cost. You have to put pressure on. You have to be them 4 central defenders. They're just very narrow, but they're doing nothing. They need to be pushing people on so they can get in advance and make a tackle. Not putting the bodies on the line here, not getting close enough to.
City in the end holding out for all 3 points. They go 4 points clear of Arsenal. At the end of it, sentiment nearly got in the way for City, though, Shay, in the end.
Yeah, I mean, after the game, I'm sure Pep's going to have strong words with Erling Haaland, because he clearly said to him, you take the penalty, you take it, and he didn't. I can understand from a sort of, I don't know what kind of way, for team spirit, you take it, Gundogan, to get your hat-trick, to give everyone a bit of a lift. But at the same time, that goes out the window when you want to win the Premier League. Had Sam Allardyce and his team got a late set play or something and got back to 2-2, they could have thrown away in that one incident, So Pep will be very angry, I think, with Haaland today not to take that penalty.
Just to add on to that about the sentiment as well, we're talking about a player who's got potentially an unbelievable chance of beating the greatest goal-scoring record that we've seen in years and years. So it's a lot of sentiment value added to that as well.
Me and Tim both played with Alan Shearer, and he was the penalty taker, and there's no way Alan Shearer would have handed you the ball to him if he had scored 2 goals and go, no, you take it, Tim. It just wouldn't have happened.
No, if he would have assaulted me to get the ball.
That takes some doing, to be honest, from Erling Haaland. I mean, so this is what happened here. Phil Foden gets fouled. Now look,
you take it.
Haaland is signalling to Gundogan to take the penalty. Yeah. I mean, he's literally said it within seconds of the penalty being awarded.
Yeah. Do you think there's an element of it being Leeds as well? Do you think that could have played a part in it?
Great point, Robbie. Because he was born in Leeds. His dad played for him. The last thing they want to do is put them down, but they're going down anyway.
But he scored twice against them at Ellen Road.
But whether he wants to be to inflict some damage on them, but he got to stick to the plan first and foremost. And Pep would be telling them that he's a stickler, Pep, for detail, and he would be saying, he was telling them at the time, you have to take that, Erlen, you have to take it. And it's a good save, Shay, isn't it?
Yeah, very good. I think Robles gets just a little touch finish on it onto the post, and then obviously gets cleared. And again, as you said before, a minute later they score.
Look, this Pep, you have to take it.
Yeah, he's raging.
Erling. I mean, it just goes to show, we've been waxing lyrical about Erling Haaland, but there's maybe 1 or 2 things he's still got to learn.
Yes, I mean, look, let's not get carried away. I mean,
no, but what I mean,
I do. I know
he's got to understand the magnitude of what's at stake here.
And I do get, and I'm on obviously everyone's team, and I think if you have a game plan and you've got players who want to change the manager's game plan on the pitch, then it can't happen.
I see it from both sides. I really do. I see it from Haaland's side and from the team spirit point of view. But when you're a manager, you set out a plan and everyone has to stick to the plan, no matter what the circumstances are. And the plan would have been penalty taker Erling Haaland, no matter what the time of the game was.
58 seconds after missing the penalty, or seeing the penalty saved, Shay, I should say, particularly in front of the goalkeeper. Pep's mood wouldn't have been any better here.
No, and then you're worried now. It's panic stations with your Man City, Pep Guardiola, or a player or a fan, because he should be out of sight of 3-0 with a penalty. Akanji makes a mistake, and it's a great finish from Rodrigo. But then it's a nervy 5 or 6 minutes. You know that Pep didn't, as I said before. Once that final whistle, you could see Pep was sitting there bubbling with anger because it shouldn't have been that tight.
Typical Sam Allardyce goal. We'd be pleased with that, delighted. Ball lumped forward, win the second ball, win the scruffy next one, and it falls to Rodrigo, who will start the next game without doubt. Yeah. Did anyone see Patrick Bamford today? I mean, he was so poor today. He never even run around out there. I mean, he tries his best, but he was isolated. You have to give him a lot of sympathy for that. But that guy has just come onto the pitch, he's run around, he looked effective, scores his goal, starts next game.
Well, you said Sam Allardyce would have been delighted with the way they scored. What do you make of the 90 minutes? Here he is now.
Sam, you've lost the game, but just give us how much you enjoyed being back in the technical area.
Well, obviously, in difficult circumstances, but still accepting the job, then you've got to do the best you possibly can. But of course, it's about being on the training ground for the last week and feeling the adrenaline rush of that opportunity to be back in the Premier League and be on the training ground with a squad of players that we have to try and make better as quick as we can with just 4 games left. So it's been a difficult challenge, of course, we all know that, but it's been one that we've jumped at, enjoyed. Me, Carl and Robbie together have enjoyed working with the players and the backroom staff and trying to get to a position of where we can try and win a football match. And of course, we take some hope out of today on the second half performance, not the first half, but certainly the second half performance, and see if we can build on that and go that little bit farther and make sure that it's a result at the end of the day and not a defeat. But I was slightly fearful, but second half we sorted it out in the dressing room, and we said they're playing with too much fear, get on the front foot and go and challenge Manchester City. And apart from a silly penalty that we gave away, but a brilliant save from Joel, gave us an opportunity to get back in the game with a fantastic finish. And you know, when you see Man City running the clock down for 4 minutes in their own corner in the penalty area, you know you've got a chance. So we still had a chance right to the very end, but that didn't quite happen.
When you're 2-0 down here after 20-something minutes, and you know that goal difference might be important at the end of the season, as you showed, I think you touched on it, you might be fearing the worst, but it's a great credit that didn't transpire like that, because it could have done. Well,
yeah, I mean, it's a huge amount of emphasis on today, and without a lot of knowledge apart from the staff that are already here, we knew we would have to make 5 subs today. I think the disappointing thing was one of our subs gave the penalty away, so I'd have to say that was disappointing. But the rest of the subs came on and kept us going. So we were putting fresh legs on, with fresh energy, and giving us an opportunity of which we created and scored a very, very good goal. So making those substitutes and when, because obviously Carl's saying, well, we're going to do the last 2 and there's still 15 minutes to go, and I'm saying, we'll take the risk, because if there's another one that gets injured and comes off, we have to play with 10 men. But it was worth the risk for me, and I think that, like I said, we came close, but not close enough.
And so 3 games to go. Do you have an idea in your mind of how many points you need from those 3 games?
Try to get 3 points against Newcastle, take 1 game. The old story, the old saying that every manager says. But we've got to try and get better between now and next week. We've got to try and increase our performance by 5%. I mean, it'd be too much for asking a bit more than that in such a short period of time. But iron out a few more of the playing side in terms of our possession, because that's what let us down more than anything. Our in possession in the first half, it was too rushed. It wasn't accurate enough. It wasn't clinical enough. They weren't hitting the right spaces. And when we started doing that a little bit better in the second half, we got more of attacking options, which gave the defenders a bit of rest and a bit of respite so they could regroup and defend again. So, pleased about the second half.
Pleased about the second half. But what did you make of Sam's interview there?
I think he's obviously the most experienced manager. He knows full well that he's sending a message out to the fans of Leeds United who stuck with the team today. They always do. Robbie's played there. They're a magnificent group of fans. Also to the board of directors, the people who have given him the job. And these are not necessarily the most educated football people, so they might be brainwashed by what Sam's saying. He's painting a different picture to the game we saw. But he's absolutely right. They were in it in the last 5 minutes of the game because, like Shay said, you don't know. Get a free kick, get a corner, scrappy goal. You know, they could have took a point away from there. But let's assess the actual game. It was a 2-1 massacre, wasn't it? And Man City could have run away with it. They took their foot off the pedal. They should have scored the penalty as well. Could easily have been 5 or 6, but it wasn't. So that's the positive Sam's going to take out of it. But let's not get carried away. It wasn't a decent performance, was it? It was very difficult. We knew that from the outset to go to Man City and get anything. And they've got what they deserved. Nothing.
City had 84.2% possession in that first half. Do we have to be careful and not overlook that, despite what happened in the last 8 minutes?
Yeah, I think we called it at the start. We knew how they were going to play Leeds. We're going to go there and try and make it tough. Man City had all the ball. But this is what I think you as a football fan need to remember. People will forget about the first 85 minutes because Man City were dominant. But Leeds came into it the last 5 minutes, so people will be buoyed by that, certainly from a Leeds fan point of view. You think, we can have a little bit of belief in ourselves now because, OK, it was for 5 minutes, but we've gone toe-to-toe with them for 5 minutes. So people will be buoyed by that and people will think more of that than the first 85 minutes, I think.
OK. Right, OK.